Hey guys, welcome. It is Johnny from Marksman's Music Academy, and in today's video, we are going to break down one of my new releases, and we're going to discuss some really cool things you can do with the Phrygian mode, and how to make some really interesting, tense, mysterious, but also beautiful harmonies, all using this amazing mode and variations of it. Plus, we'll break down how you can make really interesting organic lead sounds using a synth guitar. So in order to do this, we're going to break down my new track, Sueño Flamenco, which is a flamenco-influenced and infused melodic techno track. It is really cool. Before we kick things off, please do remember to like and subscribe. Really helps me out. A lot of you are watching but not subscribing. It literally takes 1 second. The button is right here, so please go do that. You'll really help me out. Let's jump into Ableton. Okay, here we are in Ableton, and this is what we're dealing with. It's called Sueño Flamenco. So yeah, really dark, really mysterious and tense, but also kind of beautiful in a way. That's the beauty of the Phrygian mode. It is so fascinating. It's one of my all-time favorites, and it is the foundation of flamenco music, but also metal music as well. So firstly, let's talk about what is the Phrygian mode. Well, in this song, we are using E Phrygian, which... So for this, I'm going to use this guitar sample here, but if we play all of the white notes starting on C, that's the C major scale. Everyone should hopefully know that. If not, there's some music theory videos right here which explains all of this in a lot of detail. Definitely watch that. Theory is so important. Hopefully everyone should also know if we play all of the white notes starting on A, we get the A minor scale, which is this. Right? It's the same notes but in a different order, which means that the sequence of intervals of semitones and tones, or half steps and whole steps, is slightly different. Using that same principle, if we play all of the white notes starting on E, we get the Phrygian mode. Right? And this, you might have heard that in the track here, that is Phrygian 101 right there. This note, that's what makes it Phrygian, whereas in the natural minor, it would be this, which is very different, okay? So the Phrygian mode is basically the natural minor, but with a flattened second note. So the difference between the first note and the second note of the scale is one semitone, which gives you this, which is flamenco to a nutshell right there, and all metal is based upon this. So this track here is a flamenco techno song, and what we have done is taken one of the most classic flamenco progressions, which is the 1-2-3, which it goes like this. That's a classic flamenco progression. If I get my guitar here, this is core flamenco. It is just such a cool progression to use, and we basically, throughout this entire song, we're emphasizing this sequence of notes. Right? Similarly, as you would do in a flamenco song, that's the most important part. So, let's break down the track a little bit more so we can dive into things. Well, we of course have drums, which I'm not going to dive fully into the drum arrangement here, because we'll save that for another video, but this is what the drums sound like in isolation. Kind of nothing too special here, just a classic sort of techno beat. Then in the bass we have two stab melodies, which are sort of emphasizing each other, so the two stabs sound like this. So there's one stab sound, which is a bit more prominent, like a bit more sounding, so to speak. And then one which is a bit deeper. And then we also have a sustained re-space, which altogether sounds like this. Pretty cool, eh? And then we have this fifth pad, which is following that same chord progression, the 1, 2, 3 in Phrygian. So pretty cool. This is where the magic happens here. So we have these tremolo pads, which sound really dope together. They're emphasizing Phrygian notes. So listen to these. That adds so much color and mystery. So check these out. And what's interesting about this one is this is actually playing a major chord. So playing major notes. And coupled with this, actually playing more of a lead melody line. We also have a chord guitar, which is playing like a sort of flamenco lick with a big delay, which sounds pretty dope. So combine with all this. Then we have this like really awesome upfront 16th arp. So check this out. What this is doing, this is basically playing the 1, 2, 3 chord progression like over and over again, but then it's also playing like to a certain extent random notes in the like higher up in the register. I think it's like a 48 bar loop, so it's really hard to anticipate when it actually restarts again. It's very, very varied. And basically what I was doing was I was holding down those notes on the arpeggiator as a chord, and then I was playing other notes in E Phrygian to emphasize it, and it just sounds really awesome and evolving. So if you listen to everything all together here, really cool way to keep your arps interesting. Just play notes in key over the chord progression. So yeah, basically I'm emphasizing, of course, this those notes particularly, but I'm playing them in all sorts of octave, all sorts of registers, but then also other notes of the scale which are important over those 3 chords. Pretty cool. Now let's talk about the lead guitar sound. So this is really, really cool, and as you have seen, I do play flamenco guitar. I have a flamenco guitar right here, but I'm going to be honest, it's a bit of a cheap one. It was a 160 quid Ibanez one, and it's actually really good for the money you pay, but it just sounds horrible when you try and record it into the DAW. So what I did was I made a patch. Well, I actually have a patch. It's Ableton's Nylon Concerto guitar, and it sounds pretty good when you put a ton of effects on it. So this is what it sounds like in isolation. So that's like this kind of trill here is a very classic thing you do in flamenco, which is very easy to do in guitar. You're just doing so you're doing this. In order to replicate that in MIDI, if we open this up here, you see that a lot of this isn't on the grid at all. I just kind of had to do this to feel and taste, and also edit the velocity a lot. So check this out. So it's like getting louder, and the gaps between the are getting shorter, and each of one of these is unique. So yes, this did take quite a long time to program, but it sounds pretty dope all in all. It's very flamenco-y, very Phrygian. and just emphasizing that. That is the components of the track. They're all pretty unique and interesting, and it's quite rare that people do flamenco techno. I think I might be the only person who has done it so far. If I am wrong, then please do correct me, because I would love to hear some more. But it's very cool. So you don't necessarily have to make it flamenco, but using the Phrygian scale can create some really interesting, dark, mysterious sounds. Like the heaviest, darkest songs tend to be written in Phrygian. That's why all metal is written in Phrygian. Well, most metal is written in Phrygian, or at least uses Phrygian elements, such as riffs like this. Riff by Anthrax, but it's emphasizing that they're super heavy or dark, you could call it. But also a lot of flamenco uses the Phrygian. So another classic Phrygian progression is the 1-7-6-5. My song Reflection, that's a song also written in Phrygian, or has a Phrygian chord progression. The 1-7-6-5, which is very classic. And yeah, it's got a lot of guitar parts in. You might have noticed that. But yeah, it's very cool. So yeah, that does it for today's video. This is the track Sueño Flamenco. It's probably already been released right by now, so go check the link in the description to listen to the full EP. There's a 2-track EP. With another song called When You're Gone, which is also really cool. That does it for today's video. We've covered the Phrygian mode, which is one of my all-time favorite scales. Well, technically a mode to write in. It is so much fun. You can get some awesome flamenco-style harmonies in there, some really dark, mysterious, and heavy sounds, and some serious bangers can be written in Phrygian. So go try it out. It is really awesome. Just remember, it's basically the minor scale, but you flatten the second. In other words, you put the second note down a half step to create the Phrygian mode. Or just use Ableton's scale function. That's probably an easier way to do it. But it's important to learn these things. There's a variation of the Phrygian mode called the Phrygian dominant, which is when you're using the harmonic minor rather than the natural minor as the bass for it. So it sounds kind of like this. So this is the Phrygian dominant. Which is very Arabian, Middle Eastern sounding. Very, very cool. I'd also recommend writing a song in Phrygian dominant. Super cool. So you can use them interchangeably, which is what I did in this song. It's mostly written in normal Phrygian, but then I have that major third in there, which makes the first chord major. If you know the rules, you can learn when to bend them and when to break them. So if you need more help with your theory, click right here. There's a series of videos I've done on theory, which are very, very useful. I run a private Facebook group where you can submit your music to me, and I listen to it live on calls every Thursday at 5 p.m. You might have seen live on the YouTube channel, but the only way to submit music is through that group. Plus, I put a lot of amazing resources in there, mindset tips, and all sorts of tutorials that I don't share on YouTube. So click the link in the description and go join there. Love to see you in there. I also run a music production program where we create release-ready music from scratch, which you can send to labels. If that sounds interesting to you, comment case study below. And if there's any video that you want me to help you with specifically, also drop that in the comments too. I love content advice. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe.